I didn't know if you were interested in that, but if you are, you can take it down there or call me and I'll come and get it and take it for you. They're the rib sales.
For the
rib sales for the historic.
Yeah. Yeah. John Wheeler usually comes by.
What?
I said John Wheeler usually comes by and hits me up on those, but.
I wondered if he's in town, because I saw him.
He's up in.
With his kiddos, or his grandkids.
Yeah, grandkids. So bad news, I ended up actually fracturing my toe.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
What did you do?
Good evening.
Running, it just stress fracture on the toe.
So it
So
showed up on X-ray?
I finally did. It was, what was it? It was,
In your office?
yeah, third, I think I did one like 3 weeks ago and didn't show up. And then I did one last weekend and finally, because it was still just bothering, it was getting better, but still bothering me. And I've been off of it. I've been biking and swimming, but it finally showed up. So I got to take it a little easy, but.
And where is it?
Third metatarsal.
What a weird place.
Yeah. Well, it was my own fault because I think I got like turf toe on my first metatarsal and I didn't want to stop running. So I was compensating and I was running off of more my outside of my foot and probably my own well, it was.
You don't have to do it, but if you want it, you can.
But
the
Voltaren gel helped at least direct it. It did
I'm
calm
still
it down
chewing.
more so than taking.
I'm still chewing. I can't put my mask on. I'm chewing.
No, it's good. Awesome.
Weren't you thrilled that I finally got my thank you notes written?
No, that was so kind.
I got a boot coming. It comes tomorrow.
They've been on my
Like I
table.
said, that's
forever.
I think the biggest thing is even though I've been taking it easy, it's just been one of those things that still gets aggravated a little bit.
When we
Do you have
changed these,
X-ray in your office?
I forgot to take the rep off of here and Douglas down here. So that's a change to the minutes.
Okay.
We're just amending them to make sure it's correct.
Say that again.
Amy didn't get that
Like
thing.
Douglas.
Uh-huh.
was
Ryan, did
down
I
here,
just put your
so
name
Douglas
on it the
voted
last
twice,
minute?
And Rep voted twice. So
Because
had
I
to
put
correct
it
that.
on her
So
college
this is the
number.
corrected one?
This is the correct.
And the only reason I
Yes.
did it
Okay.
was because
So
I
you
knew our
just need
family
it when
was
you guys-
So just change the minutes as present or how do you want me to,
Yeah.
how do you want me to word it?
But Amy
I
never
would
got
say
it.
approve the amendment. Everybody has this.
Okay.
Approve the amended minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
From the man
Okay,
himself.
perfect.
And then we will have to do, I guess you knew about a Lucian.
Yeah.
So that's not on the agenda.
Yeah,
either.
we'll have to
Okay.
add that to D1.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
All right.
no problems.
All right.
Cool. Cheers. Say that again.
Biden selected this running mate.
Is it rice?
No,
Harris.
it's Harris.
I think he's a good fit. We'll see.
I figure if he gets elected, she'll be his Secretary of State.
Yeah, maybe.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
if he gets elected.
I don't think so.
Right?
Yes.
Can I get anybody anything while I'm up? No?
Do we have water?
It's in the bag.
Oh, it's in the sack. Maybe I should look in the sack.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab a water.
Okay.
I'm good. I got my sparkly.
You want to save the little butter anywhere?
I'm ready to use that.
I needed that. I had to take that. I really did.
Is this one for me to sign? Is there one, actually, do I have to sign one?
We have, Carla would have to answer that question there, Lucian.
Is there one that I have to, is there a contract? Or no?
There should be.
I mean, this is just the,
That's just the supporting information to amend the agenda.
okay. This here? But I'll sign this one. Okay.
I think he's gonna.
He is live. We are live.
Yes, all right.
5 minutes to eat my cake.
Let me know if it's peanut butter or caramel.
Mine's different. Yeah, it's got like peanuts and.
Marshmallows?
Yeah.
Oh,
Rocky Road.
Rocky, yeah.
That's very good.
do that?
What?
What's that?
Different than yours.
Make sure you get peanut butter.
It's got marshmallows in it.
Peanut butter, we'll make sure you get peanut butter. If not.
In case anybody's allergic to chocolate.
Second.
I don't do peanuts, so you can.
Oh, I was just kidding.
Oh,
Now,
well,
now I feel
Most
guilty.
desserts have peanuts. That's always good to know. When I
I'm
order
not
stuff.
allergic or anything to it.
No,
I'm not saying,
we still like everybody to.
Mine too had it.
oh, I'm gonna be plenty full.
We know
That's
Blake
not.
likes chili and we know what everybody likes around here.
I like peanut butter on stuff. I don't know why I don't like peanuts. And I like,
I'm the same.
I don't know, it's very weird. And I love tomatoes. And any spaghetti sauce, no. But tomato juice, V8, oh God, no, keep that away from me.
Leslie is here when we're ready, so.
Okay.
We have her sit out there until. Yeah, he is coming in on Zoom. I'm gonna go talk to her real quick. Hey, girl. Okay.
See pictures of the big pool there that they're.
Yeah, they're moving along.
They're moving
Yeah.
along there. Oh, it sounds when they purchased one of the slides from the big pool.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Really?
Their pool.
Be
Two
glad to
little-
see
the
some
two
of that
little
stuff
ones or something.
recycled and reused.
Yeah, you can history of it over there.
See all those people crying and crying and crying about the swimming pool. I kept my mouth shut. But I just wanted to say, and how many of you have been to that pool for the last 10 years? Or the last 20?
I know, but things become more valuable when they're gonna go away.
The thing leaked when I worked there,
Just a few years ago, right?
just a few years ago. Yeah, we ran this swimming program for Red Cross. I ran it for like 10 years. And it was so cold when those little kids came in at 58 degrees.
Ooh.
Because there were deep water wells under the bathhouse. And it was so slimy and it leaked then.
Yeah, I removed Douglas and removed Douglas for those two. And then just presented. Yeah.
My claim to fame, which made my job real secure, was the city wanted a little year and a half boy old. They had him on the bank there, and he toppled in, backwards, just toppled in, and they were busy talking. I just happened to be walking by, jumped in, pulled him out.
Wow, that's scary.
Dean Wiley's son.
Scary. We found out some inside marks on our gate in the city because one night
Does anybody want me to take the noisy sax?
we had
Are you done? Okay.
we had
Are you done, Mr. Dave?
lights off and the people got out and came inside the gate.
Oh my gosh.
And
And are you done?
nice to have a neighborhood watch because Wayne got a phone call.
Yeah.
He quickly went out and said, I don't know if people are watching the residents. I'm 7, so we're gonna get on my road.
One thing about being out where we are, we don't really have any neighbors, so if you show up and we don't know you, you better leave.
Feet yards.
It's not, oh, are they? Yeah,
Yeah.
Just unbelievable. In order to reason.
Anybody
Well,
get
that's
another
just
water?
it. It's just reason.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Not, I've got one first too.
Yep. Yeah, okay. No worries.
Yeah, put in a good word for you there for 7 this year.
Okay.
How you doing, Dave?
All right. Put out a Friday again.
Last week?
Yeah.
Yep,
I never got it.
didn't get it?
So everybody has a copy for the financial condition, the Lucian, and the July 21st.
Yeah, I did some, but I'll put it back to you.
We'll check, but you don't know.
I've got 2 of the Elysian.
Do
It
you?
looks like if somebody's missing
You
one,
can
I've
slide
got
over.
that.
Well, that's where one of them went missing, because I'm like, where are the rest of my copies? I had to go make a couple, 2 more.
You
There
need
we
tomorrow,
go.
I got one extra because I don't need copies at home.
Oh, did you? Okay.
I printed it.
If you need extra of these, I get one in the mail.
I know you do.
I just, I thought if you came up short one.
You're not my first RSVP for lunch, though. I'm sorry. Somebody RSVP'd before you.
That-
Darn.
Remember,
Okay, I got 44. Another minute here.
Are we supposed to start at 5:30?
Were we supposed to start at 5:30? I thought 5:45.
nope,
Budget hearing's at 5:45.
no.
5:30 is dinner.
She's in her office
Yeah.
right now. I think she's just coming down here to, I'll make sure. Does she do?
All right, I've got 5:45. Everyone ready? Anyone not ready? Okay. I will go ahead and call the August 11th Garden City Community College Board of Trustees meeting, the special meeting to order for the budget consideration. I won't have any comments at this meeting, but we'll go ahead and move into it. Do we have any public comments for the actual budget?
No, sir.
No? Okay. So we'll move into the consent agenda, the consideration and approval of the 2021 budget. Is there anyone would like to make a motion, or anybody would like to have discussion? We'll get a motion first on the table.
This is Marilyn. I make a motion that we approve the 2021 budget, adopt and approve it, certify the 2020 tax to be levied at $11,303,123, which is 22.687 mils. The general fund and $498,383 for capital outlay, which is 1.0 mils.
I'll second that. Beth.
Okay. Marilyn motioned and Beth seconded. Any discussion? Anyone like to comment? No?
Well, all those in favor for the budget as presented, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Okay, and we'll go do a roll call. This is Blake, aye.
Shanda, I.
Marilyn, yes.
Beth, yes?
David, yes. Leonard, yes.
Okay, very good. That is all for the special meeting. So we'll adjourn that meeting. We can't start the next one until 6. Okay, so get to hang out for 13 minutes.
Andrew, could you pause us till 6, please? Thank you.
So
There you go.
just a minute to go here.
Yeah, how long it's been since I've had a text.
Me either, can you think about it?
I know. Sorry, honey.
No, it was mine. That foot still, this foot, that's a blow, that's good. Because it was from the back surgery, and it was floppy. And that's why they hit it with back. So that one still doesn't take up very much.
Oh, darn it.
Hey, Blake. Once we amend the agenda, if we want to pull that item for Lucian there,
To
for discussion, we can, because we'll have,
right away.
just when we get to the consent.
Okay, yeah,
We'll have
yep,
a consultant from Lucian here.
okay, very good. Okay, I got 6 o'clock. Everyone ready?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. This is Blake. I'm gonna call the Garden City Community College, normal Board of Trustees, August 11th, meeting to order. Just a few, notes. I need to, do we want to amend it right away?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'd ask for amendment on the agenda, the Aleutian license exchange and enhancement amendment. Everyone's got that in front of them. It came in late. I'd like to get that on under the purchases over 50,000, D1. We can pull that to discuss that under the consent agenda. I just need a motion on that to
I
add that.
move, this is Beth, I move that we put the Aleutian document on the purchases over 50,000.
Okay, I got a motion, a second.
It's David, second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, so that adds to there. And then I would just go ahead and make roll call too here, just so everyone knows that who's present. This is Blake, present.
Shanda present.
Marilyn Douglas, present.
Beth Tedrow, present.
David Rupp, present. Leonard Hitz, present.
Okay, and bear with us again. We're all wearing masks, so hopefully everyone can hear us, but please let us know if you can't. We try to make it accessible to everyone as possible. And then remember, if you do speak, just try to state your name, or if you're making a motion, state your name, so anyone that's listening or watching by Zoom can understand who's making those motions. I'll go ahead and move into other comments of the chairs. I don't have anything other than school started, or at least back to orientation. Faculty in service was yesterday. It seems like it was a good success. I talked to Dr. Ruda about that. And we're getting students moved in, so that's encouraging, and it sounds like everyone is on board with all the precautions and the necessary things to combat COVID-19. So look forward to moving forward on campus, more students this weekend. Other comments, the only other one that I would say is I think the board is surprised or not, Melvin Neufeld passed away last week. He was a board member a few years back for us. Please keep him, his family in prayers, but he passed away last, I think, Friday or Saturday. So other than that, I don't have anything else. The introduction of new employees, we have none. Moving on to consent agenda. We added that, but I would just ask that we amend the minutes, the approval of the minutes. You want to pull those to amend them?
Yeah.
So I guess I'd ask for basically a motion to approve the consent agenda, or anything that would like to be pulled.
This is Marilyn. I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda, items B, C, and D, pulling approval of the minutes, and D1. the Lucian contract.
Does anyone else have any, would like to be pulled? Would anybody like to second Marilyn's?
Leonard hits, I'll second it.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda, pulling consent item A and D1. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, we'll do a roll call. This is Blake, aye.
Shanda, aye.
Marilyn, I.
Beth, I.
David, I. Leonard, I.
Okay, very good. So we'll go ahead and move into the approval of minutes. The only correction, everyone should have it in front of them. It was just by oversight, under the motions, the ayes, Douglas was on there, and then also on the nay. And then on the second motion, Douglas was on there twice again. So basically just need to remove Douglas from the nays on the first one and ayes on the, and the second Douglas on the second one. Does anyone have any other concerns?
So
Does that make sense?
which one is correct?
That is correct.
So the
green-
highlighted
the
one,
highlighted
green one, and if you look in your packet, it has basically just Douglas, you're on there on the ayes and nays on the first one, and then you're twice on the ayes, that one. So just a technical, anybody have any problems with that?
No.
No. Can I get a motion to remove those? Approve the amended minutes that you have in front of you.
It's David, I make a motion to approve the amended minutes.
Shanda, I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, this is Blake. I approve.
Shanda, aye.
Marilyn, yes.
Beth, yes.
David, I. Leonard, I.
Okay, great. We'll go into that D1, the Aleutian contract. And I am aware that we do have a representative from Aleutian that's going to speak towards that. Do we have him
Yeah,
available?
we'll have Corey Crane from Aleutian here, and just kind of leading into it, just to give you a little background with this. Aleutian is our student information system software. So we use there for everything from admissions to enrollment, financial aid, through the student information system. Recently in the past, we've done annual renewals, but at a higher annual percentage rate. And just want to, we've been working with Corey here as we've been trying to do some modernization with our student information system, being able to bring some updates, some new software packages and things to help us be able to transition to not manually having processes in place, but automating processes. So what's before you tonight there, and Corey will kind of go through and give you a high level overview there as well, is actually what he has helped us to be able to negotiate there with Aleutian, which presents us with a 5-year agreement, continual agreement, renewal agreement with Aleutian. But what it does is it builds in some additional pieces there that I had mentioned as far as modernization. So there's some additional software packages that bring on some different components that Corey will talk about. The other side of this there, and again, just want to acknowledge Corey and the work that he's done through our conversations, is that he has helped us to negotiate a schedule, a renewal schedule there, which really presents us with some tremendous savings over the 5-year time frame. So as you'll take a look, and Corey will kind of walk through, at the end of the 5 years, collectively, with what it is that he has helped us to negotiate, we will see savings of $79,402 because of the interest rates and what it is that we can do by extending it out to 5 years. So Corey, I'll kind of turn it over to you and just kind of let you be able to kind of give the high level overview and answer any questions the board may have.
Sure. Thanks, Dr. Ruda. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. And if any time, with the Zoom calls, if I need to repeat myself or if I'm not coming through clear, just let me know. So, Yeah, as President Ruda mentioned, my name is Corey Crane. I'm the what they call account executive for Lucian, and I support all the schools in Kansas and Missouri as well. I'm based out of Kansas City, and I've been to campus many times in the past. So we were coming up on a renewal of the colleague software system that President Ruda outlined that you utilize at Garden City. And instead of just doing an annual renewal, I worked with my Lucian team on behalf of Garden City and was able to negotiate, not only because of these unprecedented times with, having to reduce costs for the institution to help out with the COVID stuff, but also help, as President Ruda mentioned, just modernize your solution. So bring on additional software that you may not have that you can take advantage of to help support the students. And normally that comes at a cost if you buy that. But since we're going through a renewal, I did a 5-year renewal, and ultimately, if you can see the cost breakdown over the 5-year period, you are able to save $79,000 than if you just did a year-to-year renewal without even buying software. So you're not only taking advantage of new additional features and software that's available to you, but also you're able to save about $80,000 over 5 years. So it's really a win-win for the organization. I was really proud that we were able to get that. And I'm happy to answer any questions or, discuss anything that related to this if need be.
Anyone have any questions for Corey or for Dr. Ruda? Maybe you can answer.
Trust.
Yeah, I mean, it's this, it's the side that Dr. Ruda and the administration works with, and if that's what they, it's not for us to judge programs or that, and if it saves us 80,000, then always good for the taxpayers. So, no other questions? No. All right, Corey, I that was down simple and dirty, but I think it answers at least where we're at with the savings and to what extent that the renewal contract will entail. So thank you.
Yep, the only closing comment I would have is we've had a long-standing partnership between Lucian and Garden City Community College for many decades. And when I'm able to bring value to you like this and cost savings, it just shows the strong partnership that we have between our two organizations. So that would be my only closing comment.
Well, thank you for your work and saving us money, and look forward to keep working with you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Corey.
Yep.
Okay.
So none of us are experts in this stuff.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
So I appreciate the experts doing the review and making the recommendations. So with that, I make a motion that we approve item D1 as presented.
I will second that motion.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion, further discussion?
All I can say is I know my wife had looked over this, and she used to be a systems manager down at the police department. So she said this is just a typical maintenance agreement.
So we'll go ahead, and all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, this is Blake, aye.
Shanda, aye.
Marilyn, yes.
Beth, yes.
David, aye.
Leonard, aye.
Okay, perfect. That clears up the rest of the consent agenda. We'll go ahead and move on to confirmation of monitoring reports. Page 9.
Oh, that's page 9 of policy governance book.
Oh, policy governance book, okay.
Yeah.
And
One,
what,
yeah.
page what?
One.
Page 20. So, the monitoring reports is A1, the biannual executive limitations, annual number 8. It's the president shall not initiate new programs or retain existing programs without consideration of cost effectiveness and overall value. If you all remember, this was actually from last month, and it was just an oversight, and we just needed to make up for that. So the CEO's interpretation and the data that are behind that is presented there, and everyone should have had a chance to read through that. Pretty clear cut. Dr. Ruda has been really good about at least, especially with bringing on new programs and making sure that, overall effectiveness. But anyone would like anything to add to it, or questions, comments regarding Dr. Ruda's data interpretation?
Yeah, this is Marilyn. Correct me if I'm wrong, so in your interpretation, it sounds like the cabinet has taken over the program reviews, basically. I mean, it starts from the
Starts from the department level.
department and moves up.
Mhm.
In HLC, are we supposed to be involved in that? In the program review?
So what your role will be there then is that the programs that have completed the annual program reviews,
Mhm.
we will bring them in here in the fall. So I think it's the October meeting that we bring them in to actually present their findings from their 5-year review to you. And it's
Okay.
that point there that you have the ability to ask questions and be able to engage with those departments. So then at that point there is clear communication and lines of open communication that are happening between the board and the program review process.
Okay, and that's with the cabinet or with the
That would be
department
with the
head?
actual department chairs or department heads.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Anybody else like to add anything? No? Well, that's just a consensus approval, so we'll go ahead. If there's no other objections, we'll go ahead and move on to the review of monitoring reports. If everyone wants to grab their policy governance.
And an extra one, so they can bring one.
What page are we starting on?
The academic advancements on 6. I just sent it out.
Right, it makes it, yeah. Okay, so the first one, B1, the annual academic advancement, is students will have the appropriate knowledge to transfer requirements. And we'll go ahead and do, is that, no, that's the only,
They all go together.
what's that?
They all go.
They all go together, and then students will have the academic advanced prerequisites sufficient for successful transfer, and then students will have the opportunities for advanced degrees. Marilyn, anything you'd like to add for it? I mean, it's pretty straightforward, and I think.
Yeah, I think this language has been crafted through the years. I don't have anything to add to it unless you do, Dr. Ruda. Yeah.
No, I think it's an accurate interpretation of what it is that we're tracking for successful transfer and opportunities.
Yep, so no
Anybody?
changes.
No changes? Everyone good? Okay. The mission.
That's right.
Page, yeah, it's right in the very beginning. I know we've talked about this quite a bit, but Garden City Community College exists to produce positive contributors to the social to the economic and social well-being of society. It's still.
This has been the mission statement for as long as I've been on the board. At times we talk about looking at a new one, but to do that is to sit down and really deep dive into your values and what to do. I don't think this is the time to do it at this particular meeting. And I guess I would just ask Dr. Ruda again if he had any thoughts about that.
No, I think like you've mentioned there, we've had conversations and discussions about, changes or really the review process for this in the past, but, I think ultimately when you take a look at a mission statement of any organization, that's truly what represents the work and the body of work there that organization does. And I think this is still relevant. I think it still encompasses what it is that we serve to do here at the college.
This is Beth. I was on the staff when this was put together, and I know all across the campus, we all worked on it until we decided that, yes, this was what was our mission, what we wanted to accomplish and for our students. I know we worked vigorously on it at the time.
Yeah,
So
Yeah,
something that you take
like you said, you add something. I know Dr. Rudin and I've had a little discussion, adding a little phrase or something, but it sends a ripple through. I mean, even through policy governance and everything. I mean, unless we're really looking at taking a fork in the road and going some other way, I still think it holds true to what we're going after. And like you said, I think in this realm too, I think it's almost like feedback from everyone has to be, because like I said, that's a big change. That's the root of everything. That's why it's in the front of our policies and everything else, and everywhere you see it, so I don't have any recommendations by any means. So anyone else have comments or?
And I think, it's a lengthy process there to go through there.
Yeah.
You're encompassing and engaging all stakeholders.
Yeah.
And that's what we have the vision statement and the values for is to expand on that.
Right.
But is it broke? Let's not fix it.
Good idea.
good job.
Okay, very good. Annual budgeting, financial planning, forecasting, number 1 and 2. That's page 11. Page 11. Number 1 and 2. So I'll read it from the top. Budgeting any fiscal period or the remaining part of the fiscal period shall not deviate significantly from the board's ends, priorities, risk, fiscal jeopardy, nor fail to show a generally acceptable level of foresight. Accordingly, the president shall not cause or allow budgeting which, 1, does not provide a priority motivated menu of capital outlay funds to be requested for expenditure, and 2, plans the expenditure in any fiscal year of more funds than are conservatively projected to be received in that period.
I think it's straightforward language again, and I don't have any recommendations for changes.
Yeah, it speaks, covers the capital outlay side, and then keeps Dr. Ruda on basically budget. Doesn't necessarily tell them how to, budgets are just that. We have to get to point A to point D, and there may be side tours and things like that, but like I said, that gives him I don't see any reason to constrict it more or do anything more to it. Anybody else have wordage language? No. The financial conditions, numbers 1, 2, and 3. 12, okay. So with respect to the actual ongoing condition of the organization's financial health, the president shall not cause or allow the development of fiscal jeopardy or a significant deviation of actual expenditures from the board priorities established in the ends policies. According to the president, shall not, 1, exceed the working budget of the fiscal year July 1st through June 30th, and that's subset A, fail to maintain a cash reserve of at least 20%, and B, fail to maintain a capital improvement fund of $250,000, and number 2, use cash reserves, and 3, president shall not fail to develop additional public and or private revenue sources. And Marilyn, I think you had kind of a, as we talked last meeting and regarding setting up the insurance fund, you have kind of a recommendation of language wordage could be added. Is that right, Marilyn?
Right, so this is in regards to our decision last month about accepting the insurance proposal that excludes actions for athlete injuries. And we talked about that. That could be up to a $500,000 case. And as we were discussing mill levies and which proposal we wanted to accept, we had some of that discussion about how to build up that fund of the $500,000, kind of like a self-insurance fund. So we went ahead and accepted that insurance company's proposal. So now we still need to make that insured fund for the potential of civil suits. So our suggestion was listed on this additional page at your site, and it's 1C, fail to maintain reserves, or I think you should put GCC.
Use instead of us.
Use or towards non-covered insurance claims.
Where do you want GCC?
Just
at?
needs an E on the us.
It says us instead of.
Where do you want
use.
GCC at? in
Well,
budget?
or just for use.
She read it as us instead of use without the E at first, or use.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um,
And I had an additional thought here, because I believe it's gonna take us some time to build this fund up. But I think we should set a goal. So I was considering wording that said something like build and maintain
yeah.
a reserve of $500,000 by July 1st, 2022.
And then we can remove that. Yeah, or
Towards
adequate. Like,
non-covered insurance claims.
Would we
But I
have-
know you have some thoughts about that.
Well, I mean, Carla and I had some discussion on this there after the last meeting there as well, and I think, really, you're looking at two different things. One is setting a threshold of what it is that you want to work towards attaining or at least maintaining a balance of. I think what we want to stay away from there is putting anything there that says, here's where we want to maintain this balance at, and the concerns were, as we talked about it, if we set a threshold of 500,000 by 2 years down the road, really what that does there is covers the base minimum of what we're going to have as far as from the state end, on claims. It does not cover legal expenses, does not go into consideration if there are multiple claims that may be experienced. So, I think as we're thinking through this, it's good to have a goal that we're reaching towards, at least having some reserve set aside for this. I think we want to stay away from having what our end goal is there as far as things, because I think this is a reserve that we're going to want to
keep building and adding to. What if, my suggestion would be like fail to maintain an adequate reserve for GCC towards non-covered. And there again, adequate is a definable, we can ask you, hey, is this, are we at a adequate, budget for this time period? And if we are, then we could, and then adjust accordingly to it. But
Right.
and that kind of removes that definable number. And if we're not at that point, say next year when you have to report on it, or when we're at, that we make movement to get to that point, or what is adequate. I don't know. I think that still gives us a goal in mind, but without an actual, say, number. And every year we just say, okay, well, are we there? Or are we not? And
Do we need to put a percentage maybe of
minimal
increase
percentage
per year, so that we know that, a percent of the budget, or?
So I'm kind of on your page. I was fearful that we wouldn't put enough emphasis into this right away. And that's why I was shooting at the 500,000. But after hearing what you had to say, that's not enough. So how do we know?
And the budget changes every year. If we
Yeah.
take X% of the budget is dedicated to building that fund.
And we want to, it's our job to cover our liability and our risk. And so my thought was trying to get it done as quickly as we could in the next 2 years.
I think it should be a point of interest that it build it up faster than
To build a
push it
base.
off. Because again, once you build a base, you can leave it there. And I think that's what our consensus was, leave it there. It can earn some interest. Not a lot, but there again, it can occur something, but the faster we put it in there, the faster we have that sale date. And hopefully we never have to touch it. Quite honestly, but I would say that, yeah, to draw it out over 5 years, 6 years and hope that nothing happens during that time is just not good practice, not for the taxpayers, not for the institution.
And I think it is good to be goal oriented. If we have a dollar amount out there that we're working in direction towards, I think that gives us, a preemptive strategy for where we need to be. I think it will be a changing, it's going to be an ever-changing conversation that I think we have on an annual basis as far as what it is that could be contributed to it there. If we go with the 2022 timeframe, then what I would recommend or suggest there is that we'll get to that point of 2022, we have conversations of truly what that dollar amount or what it is that we want to have listed within this monitoring report. Just one, so we're not hamstringing ourselves to thinking that once we hit that threshold of 500,000, this is sufficient and that we're covered. Because I think it is going to be something that we need to surpass going forward there.
What do you think would be a good number to do today? You know what is out there that's facing us that could be going bad.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't know that, but you got an idea.
Right.
And if it's a 500,000, I'm good with that. And I don't think you want to ever limit yourself on how much you're going to put in there. I would be more inclined to rely, when it comes time for budgeting that, relying on staff to tell me what they think, what they see out there that's going to cause us a problem.
Yeah.
And if there isn't anything, then maybe that's when we need to think about the percentage of something that goes in there. And I agree with what I'm hearing about.
Yeah.
If we grow it to $10 million, that's fine.
Right.
I'd be happy to see that. But I think we have to rely on administration to kind of give us an idea of what they see coming down the road that might be causing us a problem. If there's nothing, then we're having a little harder time deciding what we should put in there. If it's a percentage, I'm good with that.
This is David, and like I said the last time, I think we could put in there a minimum of 1.5. That'd cover 3 claims. But I don't think we should put a date, because who knows when another pandemic or something else is going to happen and the budget goes haywire. And then we won't meet our ends.
Yeah.
You say minimum, that doesn't mean you can't stop. You have to stop.
I don't think that, again, just because we don't hit an end doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. Putting a date on something and we hit an end, there again, we're not going, I think the connotation that, say Dr. Ruda doesn't hit that end means that he's not doing his job. That's not the case at all. We knew that even last year when we said that, when we gave him the allowance to go and take our cash reserves and go below 20%, we kind of told him that we needed him to at least work in working to get back to the 20%. I think the board itself can understand that it's not going to happen over a year's time. We were lucky this year, but I think by having at least some kind of goal, you know, and certainly reevaluate every year or every, you know, hey, are we making progress to it? If we're not, okay, no big deal, but we need to at least have some kind of goal. If you just say, if you put it, and I do like the 1.5 or, you know, something of that nature. But if we don't put some, at least to reevaluate it.
Well, don't we reevaluate these ends every year?
We do.
So why would we have to put a date?
Because we want this fund
Because
built up
we want
fast.
We don't want
prioritize.
it to take 25 years.
Yeah, we want to
We
prioritize
got
it.
10 more dollars this year.
Yeah.
No, that's not quite
Yeah.
what we meant.
Because we're leaving ourselves at risk right now,
And,
honestly. and truly.
and, you know, none of us on this board is going to be here forever. And so the idea is to put a date so then new board members coming in know that this was a point of interest that we need to build up, so they have basically a pathway of where we were at, what we want to continue to see. If you don't leave anything, the next board could come in and just say, oh, well, yeah, we're just supposed to build this up. But, you know, how or when doesn't really matter. And
Not clear on what the
yeah,
intentions
yeah,
are.
the intentions. And I know that doesn't seem like likely, but it does get lost over years and years if not really kept to a date. So,
So we need to give enough flexibility to flex as unforeseeable events and budgets flex, but enough structure that it's prioritized.
Put a date of 5 years or to a minimum of a certain amount.
So I'm gonna suggest fail to maintain adequate reserves, parentheses, $500,000 by July 1, 2022 for use towards non-covered insurance claims. Second sentence, financial officer assesses annually to guide what adequate amount should be.
Could you add on there towards a minimum goal of?
Towards,
I think that will change though,
yeah.
as we go forward.
So I would say that next year, our financial officer would say, yeah, we need $1 million in there, so we gotta keep building it up, or 1.5, or.
Yeah. And I
I
think
don't know.
yeah, I'm all on the ground there. I mean, I think the intent, and I've heard loud and clear from the board there the last 2 years there. I mean, the intent of, and really the direction that we need to be looking at there is how we can not only sustain that 20%, but how we can build and move past the 20% threshold. Because I think as we go forward, 20% is really the very bare minimum of what we need. And I think, no more than now here in this present, we're starting to realize the importance of having reserves. So, in my mind, I think one of the things that this particular addition to monitoring does is it allows us that if we say a threshold and we put a time frame out there of 500,000, once we hit that mark there, what this does is it gives us latitude to either contribute to continue the reserves to go towards insurance or to start increasing what the 20% threshold in the reserves are that we have on that end. So, in my opinion, you've really got two different savings accounts here, just trying to kind of make it, as elementary as you can there, to where we think about where's the best use of our reserves and how does it allocate them.
Marilyn,
You don't want to lose sight of that 20%, but you don't want to have that your judge that you can't go ahead and do something out here.
Mm-hmm.
I really like to have the input from the financial people that know how much, when it comes time to budget it next year, I'd like a recommendation of what they think that we should be budgeting for and use that as a goalpost. We can always move the goalpost if we have to, but we can't lose sight of the 20% either.
Awesome.
No, I agree. It's, a lot of what we've been faced with is is market driven, you know, so, I mean, there's various factors of items to consider. Hopefully, you know, also our loss ratios, so, as time goes on, you know, with things that we've put in place, hopefully those will, will decrease. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's a good strategy. And because it is gonna be it's gonna be fluid. So I just, you know, as long as the board understands, you know, what the commitment to that impacts financially, and that, you know, that it's not a tar and feather against the president, you know, like, you didn't make this.
Right.
Which a lot of that's gonna be out of his control.
Right.
So.
What I just kind of playing around with, Marilyn, not that I don't like yours, it's just,
No, go.
everything is just, it was like 2-3 sentences and nice and short. But like, what about fail to grow and maintain adequate reserves for us towards non-covered insurance claims with emphasis on contribution on an annual basis or something, so we understand that it needs to be looked at
With a review on an
annual basis, but put in fail to grow and maintain adequate, so we know that I don't know if that sounds better or not. I don't know. I just
can't grow that year.
What?
What if you can't grow that year? Then you violated your policy.
Yeah. To me, grow and maintain is kind of the same thing, except it's not as specific. But I think the word we need is, the maintain covers it, I think.
We haven't.
We have to grow it first, we got nothing to maintain.
Right.
It's not hard to maintain 0.
Yeah. And I mean, if you don't put an emphasis to grow something, if you don't ever put any to savings, it's never going to grow. And that's how I mean, you know, and that's what when I went back with Dr. Ruda on the 20% reserves, I understand sometimes it's hard, but if you don't put into savings, even on hard years, guess what? You're never going to have a savings. And I know that's hard when we're talking about budgets, but this is something important because this protects us and taxpayers from financial jeopardy. And I think it really needs to be grown every year. I don't think we can, I think it needs to be looked at just like capital outlay and everything else. It needs to be funded every year to some degree. That may not be everything we want to every year, but it needs to be in there.
So it's definitely something that we need to be realistic about, but I want it very aggressive until we get that initial base. But I do want to be realistic, and it's hard to know what realistic looks like for 22, let alone, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I get that.
Could you include the word priorities somewhere?
Well, I mean, we used a number in the capital improvement fund.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's not a new concept to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think giving yourself a goal to work towards and saying that this is a goal by this specific date gives you a directive of what you're working towards.
Maybe we start with something of building this fund with an goal date, and then once that building has been accomplished, then it's more about maintaining and growing, and we can have a little more flexibility and reevaluate what those numbers actually need to be.
Yeah.
Sure, I like that.
Yeah, because I think again there too, just kind of thinking about everything that's been said there. I mean, instead of saying that we're going to review this on an annual basis, I think that to me the word is assessing on an annual basis what it is that will be contributed. I mean, if we're growing, we need to have a conversation about what it is that we're going to put towards this in order to grow that and really meet that threshold by the time frame that we indicate there as well.
But yeah, until we hit that baseline, this is going to be a moving target every year. Then it'll be a little easier to say a percentage, a flat number, maintain kind of thing. But right now it's a little different ballgame.
So Marilyn, kind of going back, I mean, your very early consensus is a very straightforward, like just one sentence line of,
The first one was, fail to maintain adequate reserves, parentheses, $500,000 by July 1, 2022, parentheses, for use towards non-covered insurance claims.
I just leave it at that. I mean, I mean, it at least gets us a target. And we understand, I mean, you know, we have to understand that this is a goal that, you know, and we reevaluated but it also gives us that, like I said, that set target. And that's not going to be enough. We know that. But at least it starts. And then if we hit that fast,
Gets the ball rolling.
gets the ball rolling.
And I think, you know, then it becomes a priority or prerogative of us that when we're coming in here to have budget conversations on an annual basis, this is one additional inclusion and option that we're going to provide that says, you know, based upon our knowledge of where we see the budget being, our recommendation is to put X towards reserves for non-covered insurance claims.
And obviously towards Leonard's comments, it will be Carlo or whoever the financial officers, I mean, job to look at that and say, yeah, we are adequate, or no, we need to bump this up. This needs to be, I mean, that's all with the budgeting process anyway. So that's going to be looked at. So we'll have that covered. Obviously that's going to be in your, you know, your data in this review. So I think keeping it as concise, but giving us dates and growth, I like it. Any objections or any other comments? Or,
Can I repeat just to make sure we have it right? Fail to maintain adequate reserves, parentheses, $500,000 by July 1st, 2022, parentheses, for use towards non-covered insurance claims.
Yes.
everyone okay with that? As language stated?
That'll give us 2 years to
Give us 2
figure
years.
out.
And we've
where the
got,
next
what are
one-
we funding?
180.
180,000?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're on a roll.
I just think every year as you go into this, you're gonna have to sit back and evaluate the contribution you'll make to this fund based on the financial
Oh,
condition
absolutely.
and what we think is going to be the needs in the first year, and that's up to the Carla.
Yeah.
Or whoever is in that position.
Well, it's just like, you know, when we set the, you know, set the thing, the numbers for make purchases over 20,000, we can change those numbers as we need to see fit. It's just, we got to have some kind of target. We've got to have some kind of data in there so we know that it's emphasized. And like I said, if it's looked at on a yearly basis, and we've got 2 years to look at it.
There isn't any rule that we can't change if the board gets together and agrees on it.
Right.
No, that's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're supposed to be.
And that's why we review these every year on some point of the month. So
That's our job.
Compare the ratio of progress.
So do we need a motion on that?
Yeah, I think you should.
Okay. So can I get a motion to add to number 1C, fail to maintain adequate reserves, parentheses, 500,000 by 2022,
July 1st.
July 1st, 2022, for non-covered insurance claims towards non-covered insurance claims. Motion on that?
I moved as Blake presented.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any other further discussion on it? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. And we'll do a roll call. This is Blake, aye.
Shanda, aye.
Marilyn, yes.
Beth, yes.
David, aye.
Leonard, aye.
All right, perfect. Good discussion. Okay, and then we'll go into, where are we at here? The B4 financial condition.
I think we have one more to talk about.
The executive
B5.
limitation.
Where is that?
Executive limitations.
B5.
Oh, B5, and that's on page
Page 9.
9. Okay, number 7, so I'll read the overheading. The president shall not cause or allow any practice, activity, decision, or organizational circumstance which is illegal, imprudent, or in violation of commonly accepted business and professional ethics. And number 7 is the president shall not allow for purchases between $10,000 and $50,000 without first giving consideration to local, which is Finney County businesses, with a maximum 10% premium.
So I would just, so you guys can understand, in financial assets, we also direct the president that he has his choice to spend less than $10,000 on a purchase, right? That's how he does his job. In any purchases that are between $10,000 and $50,000, we tell him that he has to have bids and he has to use the bid process. Anything over $50,000, of course, has to have a bid, and that comes to the board for approval. So I would say in the history of me being here, we've changed these numbers once. I remember that it used to be, I want to say 5,000 and 20 or 25,000, and so we gave them a little more latitude on this, and so that I don't think that's been a problem. And then the requirement that we use local business and allowing them a 10% premium has always been one of our values that we hold on to, and how you guys feel about that, if it needs to change or if we keep it the same.
Is there anything in statute?
My concern with the local presence is that you cannot have that in your purchasing policy for grant funds. So if we could maybe,
But we don't purchase grants, right?
I mean, we spend money for
We
grants.
spend money
I
from
mean,
the grants.
True.
I see what
It's
you're saying.
funded.
Yeah.
We
From a
can't
grant.
exceed that 10, we can't give that 10% is what you're
You
saying?
cannot make, you can't give a
Preference, okay.
because you're spending more money, and so you're
Oh, I see.
basically,
But only on those specific grants. It's
Yeah.
not, something ungrant related, we can still do it this way.
right, and so if we could just interject non-grant
Non-grant.
funds or something.
And less restricted by grant conditions or something.
Through the designated financial.
I mean, I could give you the, federal resource if you wanted that. I didn't think about it until just now, but, that really needs to be updated, just so.
I think just adding,
We have one
like you
policy.
said, just adding a statement of saying,
Grant
with
Less otherwise
less of
grant
the grant
expenditures are excluded.
grant expenditures are excluded, yeah, with the exception of grant expenditures.
Where restricted, if it's not restricted in that grant, let's,
Right.
but if the grant specifically restricts it.
Where the funding sources.
Where-
are restricted.
Where grant restrictions,
Do you want to?
Well, I'd say fund, like you said, fund resources.
Do we need to table that one and come up with
Yeah,
some better wording
yeah.
and
Yeah,
revisit
let's
it?
do that.
okay. We'll
There
table
could
that,
be in other things other than grants too.
yeah, make sure we cover all of our, but.
Good point.
Yeah, especially since you guys have been really going after grants in the last year. I think, maybe it hasn't been much of an issue, and obviously want to be transparent to everyone, and especially within our businesses within Finney County, to understand that, we value their business, but there are some times where we're tied.
So just to ask the question again, 10%, are you guys satisfied with that?
Have we had with 10%, I guess, when you guys are going out for bids and looking at, is 10%, are they coming in within that, or are we just, are they shooting outside and are we not hitting that with businesses? Are they hitting 15, 20% and we're not using local businesses? Are we seeing that, or are they staying within that 10%?
I mean, to be fair, I don't know that we've tracked it there to get an accurate.
So we could look, I mean, it would be hard to,
I'd like maybe a little bit of, I mean, just
Give a
data and
summary,
see if we're not hitting those and if we need to look at that. I mean, if they're hitting 13, 14, 15%, and we just say, oh, well, you're just outside the threshold. Well, that's not good community relations. And I mean, I understand there are definitely some specifics where, when we've talked about those, there's specific jobs and things like that, there's only a few companies that can do it. And that being said, but certainly would like to see more local business if possible. And if we're not hitting that mark, maybe readjust that if we need to.
Yeah, I think while we're tabling it there, it's an ideal time there to be able to assess
Well,
some of that information.
And maybe if we kind of had an idea of how many of these grant type funds would mean we don't get to go local, it goes somewhere else. Maybe we need to take that number from 10 to 12 to make up that if it brings some locals down for this, it brings them up in another way. I don't know how often this would happen on these grant specific requirements, but that might be something
Yeah, I think.
to be worth making an adjustment for. I don't want them to feel like we're shooting them in the foot by accepting this. And maybe there'd be a little give and take to balance out what stays local.
At the same time, those local companies can compete with some of the major companies. Example, my brother runs a security company. He had a big bid over in Dodge for cameras. Some of these companies were coming in like $250,000 and he come in at $100,000 for the same equipment.
Yeah.
So some just know that, hey, we're special, so we're gonna raise the price.
No, we don't want that to happen either, though.
I think it would be fair if you can just gather like 12 months
Yeah.
of data on
Yeah.
purchases and bring it back.
So we'll table that for next meeting.
That's it.
And that's it. Yep. Okay, we'll move into other and open comments.
We have two.
Okay, we have two. Who do we have first? We can bring them up, or they?
Andrew, would you like to bring up our first speaker?
Is there no preference to who's first?
Whoever signed up first.
Miss Douglas?
Okay. Hey, Tony, are you able to talk?
Can you hear me?
We can. Tony, this is Blake. We have you, and of course, we'll give you a total time of 5 minutes. And obviously, if you're summing up something, I'm not going to cut you right off. But when you start speaking, I'll just go ahead and start a timer, okay?
Thank you. I would like to know a couple of questions. At what meeting, on what date, was it discussed and voted upon and passed to settle the Braden Bradford case? I'd like to know where the meeting minutes are and request a copy of those. And I would also like to know why the case was filed in Wyandotte County and not in Finney County, where the incident occurred and the death of Mr. Bradford. I'd also have another question about the meetings becoming open again. Will that be occurring?
I would go ahead and, Tony, I'm going to just say that, regarding the, from what my understanding is the insurance council took care of the whole process. It was under the guidance of the insurance council and their attorneys They kept us apprised, they kept Randy apprised. And if you'd like to know any information regarding that lawsuit that can be dissolved, I would say that the best approach would be talking to our attorney, Randy, regarding that. There was no meeting because it was all handled through our insurance carrier. It was not a board's decision, unlike some of the other lawsuits. And again, Randy can hopefully fill you in on that. As far as your third question regarding the open meetings and the policy of bringing back to everyone being on campus, I think that's a discussion that we need to look at effectively keeping everyone safe, bringing into an opportunity like the Beth Tedrow Center where things have to be sanitized, have to be cleaned, have to bring in people, masks, all those things. I'm certainly in favor of it, but we also have to be in consideration of just what COVID is and bringing people on campus. And I know that's not necessarily maybe the definite answer that you want, but I think we certainly had intentions of this meeting, but with the revamp of everything at the state level and holding things down and masks required, it just limits a lot. So it's certainly something that I think we can discuss and suggest, but as far as the timeline, I think it's how we see this, I mean, coming back into the school session and seeing if our cases rise or that. And I think ultimately it's the safety of the students and also safety of the faculty, staff, and everyone else that's involved. And if we can minimize this and still keep adequate technology for everyone, I have to believe that that's still probably the safest way. But I'm open to suggestions how we can manage and effectively do that if we know. I just, like I said, it's, as you know, all this is just day by day. And quite honestly, you know, I mean, answers are as good as that's the best answer I can give you. But I mean, I'm open to suggestions too. So, I mean, you know, we get apprised by Dr. Ruda and the campus and everything else. And so that would be to answer those questions. I don't.
Yeah, so I mean, just kind of, this is Ryan, Tony there, just following up on Dr. Wassinger's statement there then. So in regards to reaching out for the answers on your first two questions, just ask for you to make a quarter request, and then we can be able to provide that information to you in its entirety.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other quick question, Tony?
No, other than I would point out that social distancing does not appear to be the case in the room you're currently sitting in.
As long as we're wearing masks.
Well, that's why we have masks, and we're trying to.
That's how you simply do your meeting when you open it back up. You require people wear masks, and if they don't have a mask, they don't get to come in. That's the way Dillon's is doing it, Walmart's doing it, all of the major companies that see millions of customers daily. And
we will have to consider the number of people that are in a room, because as you are aware, Dillon's, Walmart, all those are restricting the number based on their square footage. And if we have a room like Beth Tedrow Center, how many we can fit in there and how we're going to get adequate. I mean, you're right. And I do believe we can work to something like that. It's just, we've got to look at those numbers, and we've got to be able to, again, it's the safety of the kids. It's the safety of every individual that's going to be in that room. And you're right, the masks requirement, I think you hit the nail on the head. And so we'll be discussing that. And like I said,
looking at options, assuming that students come back and the numbers stay down. Start looking at some logistical options.
I do say that the utmost importance right now is the students and getting them back on campus and in a safe way too. And like I said, so we'll definitely keep lines of communication open and try to keep everyone apprised of how it's going to go. And we'll let everyone know.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay.
Mr. Kucharik?
Okay, Mr. Kucharik.
Mm-hmm.
And do we have him up?
Can you guys hear me?
We can, Aaron. I'm gonna go ahead, same thing. Again, give you about 5 minutes here. I'm not gonna cut you off if it's gonna go just a little over or something, but when you start talking, I'll go ahead and start the timer, okay?
That sounds good. I just had a couple of my questions were kind of the same as Tony's. Wyandotte County being the jurisdiction in the Bradford case, I know you're saying that that's handled by the insurance company. However, I feel that you as trustees should be encouraging your agents, aka your insurance company that does act on your behalf, to be adhering to very transparent parts for the community. This comes off as you're trying to hide this from the community that the accident occurred in and from the people who are paying out the policy premiums for that. I did do a little bit of research. I know jurisdiction as far as something like that goes, it typically happens where the accident occurred, where the organization or company owns real estate. So it makes me wonder, is Garden City Community College hiding the fact that they must own some property up in Wyandotte County to allow that to be for the jurisdiction? Also, I was just, I want to thank you guys also for wearing masks. I do appreciate it, as I'm a big mask advocate with seeing it on the side of my profession. A couple of the other things that came up here during this meeting. The amended agenda, will that be made public on the website? Also, where is the link to last month's meeting? That is still not available anywhere on the website for the trustees. The Aleutian contract, I know you said that that came in late, but why was the website not amended for the public to be able to review this document prior to the motion and the approval of it by the trustees? And I know you guys were discussing about in one of your monitoring reports, about preference for local businesses receiving it and possibly increasing that, or, you know, talking about what needs to be happening there. I feel like it may be a conflict of interest that Trustee Douglas is an owner of a business that is regularly awarded contracts to the college, and yet she's wanting to discuss about increasing the possibility of need to increase the premium. And all this just basically sums up as it's still not very transparent to the community and to the stakeholders. Nothing has changed. We still elected you guys to run our college and to be transparent to us. And that's what we've been asking for a couple of years. And it still seems like we still aren't being received of that.
Well, Aaron, I'm sorry you feel that way. We're not hiding anything. As far as anything regarding the Bradford case, that you feel like we're not talking about it, again, we have attorneys for that, and we take the advice of the attorneys and their suggestions. And again, all the facts in that certainly be handled through Randy. Hopefully you guys can understand that and request that. As far as, you know, the links and things like that, I'm sure they'll be working or up. If they're not,
July minutes are up.
July minutes are up. You know,
The
again,
minutes are, but the recording of the meeting is not.
Oh, I'm sorry,
okay,
I
okay.
misunderstood then.
So the recording of the meeting, again, maybe a technical oversight. Again, we're not hiding anything. It's just one of those things. There's probably a million different things. I'm glad you made it to our attention. We'll work to get it up. And
one thing there too, and Aaron, just, you know, kind of this, Ryan, going off of what we had mentioned to Ms. Douglas here as well. I mean, if you have desire for that information, I would just ask for you to submit a court request. However, the location for Wyandotte was actually at the request of the plaintiff's counsel. So that was not at our request, that was at their request, and we obliged and agreed to that location based upon that request.
And then the last piece of information, maybe with Douglas, I'm sure if that comes to a point of discussion, Ms. Douglas will exclude herself from that vote, not to give preference to any company she might be part of. So again, we understand the logistics and we are being transparent with the public. I'm sorry you don't feel that way. I certainly don't get that from the public, but I would certainly be entertained to have conversation with you if you'd like, or any other time, how we can maybe improve that. But I feel like we have been doing a better job over the last 12 months. And it's a work in progress. So, but anyone else have any other comments, questions to answer to? No? Aaron, you have anything else?
I believe that is everything.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. Okay. Moving on. President's reports. Dr. Ruda?
Yeah, I just had a few items I wanted to go through. As Dr. Wassinger mentioned, we did have our fall in service yesterday. We actually had set it up there to where individuals were able to attend in person. Social distancing had it in the Conestoga Arena, but also gave employees the opportunity to view it live online through Zoom there as well in their offices. So had all employees that were in attendance that were able to see it, and actually were able to utilize the new state-of-the-art video board there for all of our interactions and all of our presentations throughout that there as well. So can't wait for you to be able to see that there as we get into the spring of games there as well. Just a few of the things to highlight there from in-service. We did have a Prudential group here locally that came in and talked to our employees about a new medical transport solution that we were going to offer to employees as an option for them, which provides ground and air transportation, covering ambulance services in the United States and Canada, eliminating out-of-pocket expenses for patients. This is a service that would be provided to employees and families. So we'll be making that available there during the open enrollment period there for health insurance as well. We had a presenter came in from Southwest Plains Service Center that in the morning did our keynote presentation with all employees focused on diversity and culture and perceptions of various backgrounds. And then in the afternoon, she also spoke to and had a separate breakout session there with all of our faculty for in-service as well. Throughout this area, then we also had Finney County Health, Trish Miller and Derek Ramos that came in and just gave some COVID updates, as well as did a question and answer on information and questions that employees had as we come back to campus and head into a new semester with all pandemic planning and the steps and protocols that have been put into place. And then ended just with a highlight of years of service. So recognized years of service to employees, and then also recognized two specific employees, Kim Harrison and Nicole Dick, who were presented with an award from the NISOD, National Organization for Service to their profession. So had a great start to the fall semester and great in-service on that. Just to give you a couple of updates as well with residential life. 2 weeks ago, we had 105 students that came to campus and are currently on campus, living in the dorms. Starting this Friday, then we will have the remaining students on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday that will start checking in. But as of this morning, we have a total of 423 applications that we've received for student housing for this fall. So numbers are looking good, and we will go through the process here this week and being able to check the rest of the students in before classes start on Monday. The BAA Association will be hosting an annual golf tournament. So if anyone get out there and work the clubs over, that'll be on October 10th. Southwind Country Club will be a 4-person scramble. This year, we're also, in addition to the golf tournament, going to have an awards dinner as well as a silent auction at the conclusion of the tournament there as well. So just some added benefits of playing in the tournament with the funds that are being raised to go towards scholarships. I'm very excited to be able to announce that the Student Support Services Grant, which is a federally funded grant through the Department of Education, was a very competitive process that we applied for close to a year ago. We just received word at the end of last week that our Student Support Services Program is one of the recipients to be funded for the next 5 years. So this is a 5-year grant that all in total will be around 1.62 million over the course of 5 years. And that particular grant works with 200 students that are first generation and helps them with advising, enrollment, and transfer to four-year institutions. So tremendous resource for us, and definitely appreciate the work of that staff and a successful grant completion.
That's pretty cool. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. Just a couple of other updates here too. Then we're nearing the end. It looks like we will have final punch list and everything here this week on the 2 athletic training facilities, and be able to have everything turned over to us here this week on those facilities. So just in time for students to begin arriving. And then I wanted just to give you a summary of kind of a year perspective of enrollment for this past year. So we have finalized enrollment from this past year. Overall, our total enrollment ended with a head count unduplicated of 4,381 students and 44,856 credit hours for the year. So altogether, for the year, head count was up 1%. Credit hours, we were down a negligible 0.8%. And then just kind of summarizing summer enrollment, our summer enrollment as far as credit hours was up 1.8% overall. So I think, in spite of being strictly online, in spite of the pandemic, a lot of the marketing efforts and the work that we've done there with faculty and instruction and student services definitely saw that there were dividends to be paid there with how summer enrollment came to fruition. So just wanted to provide that overview there now that enrollment is finalized. And then the final aspect, I wanted just to give you a highlight. Andrew, I might ask you to bring Leslie Wenzel on here just for a minute, please. I've asked Leslie to come and just give you a demonstration of a new app that we are going to have launched here on campus called Ready Ed. And this is a mobile app that covers all aspects of student life and really is dedicated towards student engagement. This app, not to steal Leslie's thunder, but this app will also be one that we use to track students as far as when they go into classrooms. There will be QR codes at the doorways of each of the classrooms so that we can track students going into classrooms, be able to track activity, but also help us with pandemic contact tracing and things of that nature as well. But really the impetus behind this there was to be able to increase and enhance student engagement, student communication, and really just communication across campus there with employees and student organizations and everything there as well. So Leslie's been a very integral part of really getting this process and this app installed and getting all the aspects of it developed. So I want to give a big thanks and gratitude there to Leslie and also to IT and her committee that's done the work and the legwork to get us where we're at today.
Awesome. Thank you. We are so excited. I think from the day Mark walked onto this campus, we started talking about a different way we could communicate with students and that would work with retention and all kinds of different departments. So we're so excited. And we're working on getting everyone as excited as Mark and I are about it. So I think, yes, after a demonstration yesterday to faculty and staff, I think they're going to be really excited about it as well. So let me share my screen here and I will show you some of the features. Okay, so everybody, can you guys all still hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay, so when you download the app in the App Store, so either in your Google Play Store on an Android phone or the Apple Store on an iOS device, this is the first page you come to after you download it. And so we have actually two different experiences. The Get Started is actually, will take you to, you can choose prospective student and Buster login. So our prospective student is really designed around recruiting and getting students acclimated with what will happen when they get here and become a Buster. And so Samantha Garcia has been working really, really hard on building out this prospective student. Anybody can join and be on the prospective student experience. They don't have to authenticate, there's no login or anything like that. For the Buster login, that's everybody, faculty, staff, students. We all have our Buster login, and it's the same login that we use for Canvas, Buster Web, email. It's all the same thing. Although once you get logged into the app, you don't really need any of those other things because it'll be a single sign-on. So our homepage here, as you can see, we've got some featured, the top 3 tiles are featured tiles, and we actually have 4. We had the census up there, so we took that down since we're done with the census. But those are things that we can feature each month. Like for example, October is advising month, and so for my department, we'll be probably one of the featured tiles there. But we do have a planning sheet that we're working with all departments on, so they can tell us the things that go on in their departments in particular months. So we can highlight different things there. The favorites, I've chosen my favorites, so I have gone through and picked things, but it's just as simple as clicking the plus sign and adding a favorite. And here I can look at different aspects, events, those types of things. As you can see, we have a quarantine and chill that Melanie Hands has done a wonderful job with communicating and engaging those students that are over in quarantine. Mark gave away ice cream one night. Melanie made cookies one night. So it's been really, really great to see how she's engaged those folks. If you know a particular event group that you want to add to your favorites, like let's just say I wanted to add men's basketball. So you can type it in at the top. And you can see here, it brings up anything that's got men in it. So if I wanted to be part of men's basketball, I could click that, join the group. All of our groups are open groups. Athletics is really designed for the fans to engage with the student athletes and the coaches. They're not private. So we'll eventually get to some private groups, but I think Terry has told us that those will roll out in October. But we've asked faculty and staff and RAs and stuff to engage people in the app. So we can get in the habit of putting things in there. The schedule pulls from Canvas, so this will populate based on what assignments and things that students have in Canvas. They can also, and faculty and staff can also add things to their daily schedule as well, due dates for tests and things like that. And you can see I've got some unread notifications. These are from the wall. And you can see how some of our faculty and staff have engaged. This is Itzel and Avelia from SSS and the camp program talking to a student and showing them where certain resources are. Carrie, our accommodations coordinators, posting about, hey, get your accommodations. So we've had some people really embrace this and get on board. And here, this is one of my things, and I've got some things I need to respond to the students on the orientation. So along the bottom, there's 5 little icons. The one that looks kind of like a building will bring you just to a more focused area. And you can see the featured again, campus tools. You can see we've got Buster Web. Buster Web's the only thing that we don't have a single sign-on right now. And it has to do with how it integrates with our SIS, the way I understand that. Andrew can correct me if I am probably wrong, but that's the way I understand it. Canvas, this is the student app. So when students click on that, and actually, I'll click on it, but it's going to take me to my K-State one, but it takes them right to Canvas. They don't have to sign on again. And then just different events. The events will be populated. You can see we've got Res Life check-in going on coming up this weekend. It gives the hours and different things that I can add it to my calendar if I want to, and then it'll show up. And then we will have eventually more things in the faculty staff resources. I've got to consult with Terry on how to pull some things in. Instructors have their own Canvas app, so we'll want to pull the instructor app in. But I just linked to Employee Connection, and that actually just links to our website. And my picture's not very good, so I got to get a picture from Melody. We'll have, we've got our dining hall information here and phone number for students, campus map, and it's asking me, and so they can pull things up and notice there's a locator there, and so as they're walking around, it'll help them navigate campus, so that's good. So that's this page. Then there's message. Well, this is the channels, okay, and then we've got notifications. It's kind of like Facebook if you're on Facebook. In my profile, I can put a picture up. You can see I have friends. I got lots of friends yesterday when I was presenting. So, but if I want to find a friend, like let's say I want Jim Boy Hash to be my friend, they have to be on the app for me to friend them. So I just click on their thing and add them as a friend. I can also message through here, private message through here. So that's a nice feature. Let's see, what else? We're also going to be using this for contact tracing. So there'll be a tile on this page where we'll have the contact trace. And so there'll be QR codes in outside of classrooms. And if you've walked around this building at all, there's QR codes in some like the advising windows and things like that. We're not only using that for assessing our services, but we'll be using that for contact tracing as well. And so that's still in the process. I think that rolls out here at the end of this week. I think we have another meeting tomorrow. The shield up in the right-hand corner is our campus safety, campus security. And so clicking the red line calls campus security. So it's just 2 touches and you can call security rather quickly. The QR scanner for the students is right in the corner of the app, so they don't have to take pictures with their phone or anything like that. Let's see. I think that's really about it.
Hey, Leslie.
Yes.
This is Blake. What about students that don't have a phone or iPad?
Gee, that question comes up a lot.
I mean, I'm sure that's a rarity anymore. But I mean.
So with this in our campus cloud, which is our campus cloud is kind of the back end of this where we put events and things in and create tiles and things like that. So in our campus cloud, there is a way that they can fill out a form via email and on a computer. So we're working out the details on how that's going to work. That's something that we're with the contact tracing, we're working that out. So we don't have anything definite on that.
Okay.
Leslie, listen, Dave. Is been any thought of having health questions before they go to class, like the other schools have been doing?
Yeah, the contact trace has a self-assessment that goes along with it. The students answer the questions, and based on that, they either get a green check that says you're free to go to class or a red X that says you may not, please contact such and such. And the instructors will be looking for those green checks and then if they haven't done the self-assessment, it also gives them a red X when they try to scan into a class. So the instructor knows that the student needs to step outside the building and complete their self-assessment.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, Leslie, this is Marilyn. I have little knowledge about internet width or bandwidth. Is all of this, do we have an adequate internet
connection
capacity for all of this?
That's an Andrew question.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident in it. You'll remember a few years ago, we made a large wireless purchase for our access points. There's access points at every entrance of every building. So yeah, I'm pretty confident it should go pretty well. And the there'll also be some people that use their wireless data rather than our campus Wi-Fi. So yeah, I'm pretty confident it'll handle it fine.
Just jinxed it, you know.
Thank you.
Well, we've started new student orientation. I don't know how much you guys know about what we're doing with new student orientation, but we're doing that online via Canvas this year. And so with the help of Jamie Durler and Vicki Reyes, we built a Canvas course basically called New Student Orientation. Students received information in the mail, and they're being given out to when they register for classes about how to start that. And the first thing they're asked to do is download the app. So we're trying to get students into the app as soon as we can and get them engaged, and I think it's going to be a great recruiting tool as we start, as admission starts visiting high schools and things like that. It's going to be a great way for us to get feedback and assess our services, and not having to wait for that end of the year questionnaire that we do, survey that we do. We can get immediate feedback. So like yesterday, when faculty and staff came to in-service, they scanned a QR code, and then at the end of the in-service, they got please rate in-service. And it was like 1 to 5 stars, you pick your stars, and then there was a place for them to make comments as well. So we get feedback immediately after an event or something like that. And just like with advising, they scan one here, and after they leave, they get a little survey. How was your service today? And the students can rate us. So it's going to be a great assessment tool as well.
So correct me if I'm wrong there, Leslie, too. I mean, you were talking about this a little bit there at in-service yesterday, but really the unique thing about this is you can build multiple cohorts. So I think the example you used was if you have an intermediate algebra that you want to be able to have a specific cohort for all your students in that section, you can set that up to where information is going out specifically to that section of students.
Absolutely. And that's what my plan is. I teach an intermediate algebra class, and so I'll build a group called Mrs. Wenzel's Intermediate Algebra, and that'll enable students to throw questions up on there. And what we find is students start answering each other's questions. And so that's enough, and then they start engaging with people they didn't know. But yeah, I can, if I have to be out for the day, I can say, hey, we're going to meet via Zoom today because I can't be on campus. So here's the Zoom ID, and you can notify people of things like that as well. Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what Facebook was originally when it was on campus only. And obviously a little bit more upgraded, but yeah, the idea of what original Facebook was. But yeah, awesome tools. I like like you said, having the surveys afterwards. Sometimes the engagement afterwards or engagement of things, you get instant feedback, and so you've got collection data points. And we know in this day and age, we can never have enough data. So
well, other things we can use it for when and if we get to have athletic events or plays or different events on campus. I don't know that we keep track of how many people come to a basketball game or, any kind of formal thing. And so they can scan, we can give out, there's all kinds of things that you can do with that. And again, rate your experience. And it's just going to give some awesome feedback, and I'm super excited about it. So I'm gonna just walk around. Have you downloaded the app yet? Let me see your app. So we're super excited. And I listened to the board meeting where you guys voted to approve this, and I want to say I really appreciated the questions that you asked. They were pointed towards the student and how's this going to benefit the student, and I really appreciated all the things that you guys were looking at in terms of that of spending this much money on something like this.
Cool. Well, I think it's going to be a safety tool as well, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, if there's a shooter on campus, we can use it and get people locked down right away.
Yep, I do too.
I'm guessing it's going to be faster than our other. Yeah.
Rave. That's Rave.
Thanks, Leslie. Any other questions for Leslie?
Thank you for being so enthusiastic.
Yeah. Pep this up a little bit here.
Yeah. You guys have a great night. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Is that it, Ryan?
That's it.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Ryan, for the report. Incidental information, of course, every month at the back of the page, there's incidental information from all over campus. Anybody have any comments or questions pertaining to the incidental information?
I don't know if this is incidental information or not, but I'd like to make a comment and some appreciation comment. After having gone to the county commissioners meetings Monday morning, what is this that we're, all the money's coming? What's that?
Spark, that's the Sparks money.
I had no idea the complexity and all goes into this, and I have to just tell you, I'm proud of what Carla and Ryan and the whole staff have done. After I sat there and watched all of the different things that go into this, and whether some of it's involving FEMA, some of it isn't, and they've had to do a lot of work to go through and pick out what they could apply for, what they couldn't, where they had to put it, what slot. And, you know, this is a workload that has been thrown on them that's not a normal workload. And I just, you know, I don't know who all's involved with you, Carla and Ryan, but you folks have, in my mind, gone above and beyond. And I'm going to take that a little step further. And I tell people in the community, you guys are turning every rock over that you can find money under. And I appreciate that because we need it. We're going to need it as time goes along in the future and as new programs come. And I just get excited when I hear you report on some grants that you're getting, like the one that's a 5-year grant. You know, that's due to effort. That's due to people taking pride in being part of this organization and going after it. And I just want to say thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Anybody else on the incidental information? No. Finney County Economic.
We met last week, or I guess it was right after our last meeting. And there's a project coming in, a manufacturing type project that wants to work fast. So you hope to see something going on there, but still working on past projects. It's slowly going through the process.
Anything else?
No.
Nope. Okay. KCCT, Beth.
We were supposed to have a 2-day meeting in Pratt at the very end of August. It has been changed to a Zoom meeting. And the KACCT will meet on Saturday, August 29th at 8 o'clock in the morning. And hopefully it will be a 1-hour meeting, but that's it.
Okay. SGA won't be reporting. Hopefully next month we'll have SGA on the docket. But Faculty Senate,
We have Perla.
Perla?
She's a bit nervous.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yep. Hi, Perla.
Hi, hello everybody. My name is Perla Salazar. I just wanted to take a little bit of time to introduce myself. I am a math instructor. This will be my 5th year here at Garden City Community College. I've been teaching for 8 years. I'm also a member of the Student Learning Assessment Team, as well as the director for the Bridges Scholarship here on campus. And I am looking forward to being Faculty Senate President this year. Faculty Senate hasn't met yet, so I don't have anything new to report. We are hoping, my goal is to meet within the next 2 weeks. So hopefully we can set a time that fits with everybody's schedule and we can get started. We've got to pick senators, new senators, since we weren't able to do that at the end of last semester, as well as give out some awards that we weren't able to do last semester as well. So we do have a lot to do and hopefully we can get to work right away. So I'm hoping within the next 2 weeks. I wanted to take a little bit of time and, as was mentioned, say that so far what I've heard from faculty is that the IMP service this 2 days has been great. I really appreciated the speaker. I appreciated that she brought in, she made us aware that we need to be holding space for other people's experiences and other people's backgrounds. I really appreciated our investment in that speaker. I feel like it was very helpful for many faculty members who haven't had that type of in-service or that type of professional development before. So I really, really appreciate that. I also appreciate and I've heard it from other faculty, we appreciate the flexibility that administration has had. They've asked us to be flexible. We have had to be flexible with our students, but they've been flexible with us as well. So I really appreciate how much work it has gone into, how much work we've done to make sure that faculty are comfortable coming back and that we have a safe environment. I know we can't please everybody and we can't make everybody happy, but I really appreciate that you guys are holding meetings through Zoom, that you are trying to keep a minimum amount of people on campus. We have to try to think about our students and our faculty and make sure that we keep everybody as safe as possible. So I appreciate that you guys do that for us. And I do want to thank everybody for wearing their masks. And I think that's about all I've got for now.
Thank you, Perla.
Perla, I have a question. So there has been Facebook posts about faculty and teachers being afraid to go into the classroom because of COVID exposures. Have you heard of any of that? And if yes, how are they handling it?
Yes, I have definitely heard it and I have felt it myself. I think we've got different experiences and people are coping with it differently. I know for sure that the faculty I work with the most in the Faust building, we have just decided that yes, we are nervous, we're anxious, but we are going to work towards it. I've had a lot of my science coworkers think about new ways of having the students take a little bit of ownership on how to clean their areas. So we are working on a plan to help each other clean after we leave and before the next group comes over. So I know we're nervous and we're working on trying to make sure that we are safe. I also know other people who are just not healthy enough to be on campus. And like I said, our administration has been very flexible, so they've been able to do all their classes through Zoom. So we do have that fear. And some of it is legitimate, but our administration has been very flexible in allowing those people who need it, a different way, a different modality for them to be able to still be with their students, but still be safe. And for those of us who are on campus, even though we're nervous, like I said, we are working to try and be as safe as possible. We are trying to think of new ideas. We definitely, all the levels of communications are always open. So Derek is more than willing to listen to our ideas and kind of help us work towards getting to those crazy ideas.
Okay. Well, I think I really wanted to hear that you guys had someone to go to. If somebody had fears or worries or anxieties. So sounds good. I would just tell your colleagues to use those resources.
Yes, that is one thing. I also, I'm not sure if I mentioned it. I'm sure you can tell I'm a little nervous. It is our first meeting and I hope I do well. So I'm a little nervous and I did wanted to mention that, and I hope if I did, I apologize for repeating myself, but I did wanted to mention how much we appreciate the open communication. All the channels are open. We know we have that chain of command that we can definitely always use, but even Mark Malone has always said you can come and talk to me if you have any issues. Derek is very open and he helps us with any maintenance issues. If we think we need something, he's always there for us too. So everybody is very willing to listen to us. And of course, I try to tell my faculty that if they have issues, they can come to me too. So I feel like people know that the levels of communications are definitely open.
Awesome.
Good.
Thank you for what you do.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Thank
and you
you.
did good.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Okay, very good. Moving on, ownership linkage. Anybody have any from outside in the community would like to share with the rest of the board? No? I think the biggest consensus still is the topic of COVID. I had a lady ask where our, how our attendance or enrollment is trending, and just overall the precautions that were taken to combat with COVID and keeping students safe. And I think as a general consensus, though, they're happy the stance that we're taking, that we're trying to get students back on, that we're doing the appropriate things, that we're given multiple options. So good things out in the community, at least what I've heard, and that's generally been the consensus of how are we getting students back on, how are they going to be safe, and how are we going to move forward in this academic school year. And so, but I think they're satisfied, certainly in my experience. Nobody's been worried more so, and feel like I said, our plan is good. So kudos to the administration and everyone that was involved with that. So anyone else like to add anything?
I would just say similar comments.
Yeah.
Questions, questions about the unknown.
Yeah. And it's day by day. Like I said, it could change next week. Hopefully not. Hopefully it's, but that's, be prepared. So.
And the only other thing is maybe we could, again, contact some of the news organizations, not Telegram, or, the ones that come out, maybe video something, and like other schools have been doing online or on TV and news. Tell them what we're doing and to say, and give them that out to the public.
I direct your attention to the upcoming calendar dates. Of course, we had our Board of Trustees meeting tonight. New student orientation is being done online. Classes begin next Monday. And then student services extended hours, open till 6 p.m. that first week. Next Board of Trustees meeting is September 8th. And certainly as of right now, it's day by day, but we'll see how we approach that. I mean, we'll make sure we give everyone adequate time, but I would say plan on being in a setting like this for now until otherwise noted. We'll have discussion with Ryan and health officials and state of Kansas and how things are going. But we'll certainly keep everyone apprised. Our date for when ACCT, when is that? That's in September, right?
It's September. It is
Everyone.
weekend, Saturday, Sunday. Is that what you're talking
Yeah. It's at the end of the month.
September 26th and 27th.
26th and 27th. If you remember, we have an ACCT rep coming out. Basically, board retreat with new board members, and it's good refresh. I happen to have had interaction with her at the last ACCT meeting, but she's coming out for that Saturday and part of Sunday. I think she'll be a really great asset to answering questions and getting us rejuvenated and on target. But make sure you have those calendar marked out, 26th and 27th of September. There is no executive session tonight, so I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you all.
Thank you.